Hello and welcome to another episode in our World of Work series and the interview with section. Today we're going to have another insight into the various different options and routes that you can go down in different career fields, different courses. And it's my great pleasure to have Harry with me today.
Hi, Jay.
And so today with Harry, we're going to hear about his experiences and his specific route. And hopefully you'll find it interesting and maybe even consider following it yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the questions. So Harry, what course are you doing and, where are you studying?
Yeah, so the title of my course is a Chartered Management Degree Apprenticeship, which is certainly a mouthful, but it's three sort of main work streams. One of them being a full-time job, which I'm currently doing with Samworth Brothers, who are in the food production industry. And sort of within this job, I do 3 one-year placements. I started my first year as a team leader in a production area, which was leading a small team in the production of sandwiches, which was great exposure for a first year and great opportunity to sort of gain some leadership skills and that side of things from production and operations element. In this second year of my apprenticeship, which I'm currently now on, I'm looking more at commercial and sort of external from production areas. And then coupled alongside with that, I'm doing a degree at Sheffield Hallam University, which I attend on block release. So 6 times a year, I'll go to Sheffield for 4 days, where we'll do a module delivery, and then I'll sort of complete assignments during my time at work, which I have time allocated sort of as a part of the role and part of the contract. And then also alongside that is a chartership in management, which is with the Charter Management Institute. And so that's really sort of showing and displaying my practical skills, whereas the degree is more sort of theoretical and module-based skills. The Chartered Management Programme is essentially a list of competencies, which is called the Apprenticeship Standard. In 3 categories, it's knowledges, skills and behaviours. The knowledges is more so learnt at university, and then skills is what I've been putting into practice into the workplace. So essentially at the end of the 3-year course, I have the 3 years industry experience. I have a degree in professional management, which is what I'm studying with Sheffield Hallam, and a chartership in management also.
Wow, I mean, that sounds incredible that you get in this wealth of experiences, but also the different qualifications and just being able to pull it all together. However do you manage balancing it all?
It is a bit of a tough one, and it was a bit of a shock, bit of a harsh reality, to be fair. I think there is certainly time to do it. It is just making sure that you manage that time, and it is still something that I'm learning a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got it sort of on lock now, because I'm still learning, and as workload still continue to increase and go up a notch, you sort of have to reevaluate how you are spending your time. Within the contract is something, and this is signed between Samworth Brothers and the university, is an element called 20% off the job learning, which means that 20% of my paid hours are spent doing either university work or gaining exposure to different departments or practical skills that are then evidenced as part of the chartership. And then I suppose obviously a bit of personal time, the occasional weekend, the occasional evening, which I try to avoid, but it's inevitable to an extent. If you're trying to go for them higher grades and trying to sort of achieve the best of your ability, you're going to have to put in a bit of that extra time. But it is well set up to be able to achieve within your working hours.
No, and that's great. I think everybody realizes that perhaps as much as we'd like to keep it as small amount of time as possible, there are kind of evenings and weekends, as you say, that doing it, but then it's sort of a testament of kind of like how amazing of a thing that you're doing, that it requires that so much effort and workload. So I think that's amazing. Just wanted to pick out on your actual route in order to get here, because you took a slightly unconventional route in order to get onto the apprenticeship.
Yeah, I did. I started off as doing A-levels, which I was doing maths, economics, computer science. And I think it really wasn't for me. The subjects I chose were slightly wrong, and I think I got to a point where the sort of exam-based learning and sort of method of assessment wasn't really suited to my style. As you sort of grow up and you gain your own sort of opinion on that sort of thing. So I went down a more practical route after my first year of A levels, dropped out and moved on to a level 3 extended diploma, which I got from my brother because he did that in an agricultural diploma, and he went on to an agricultural university. So I understood that it was a potential way to get into university still, so I wanted to keep that as an option. But when I moved on to the course, I didn't realise I didn't do it with the intention of doing a degree apprenticeship. I suppose that going on to the more practical course, I sort of found this more practical path at the end of it, and I learned about the degree apprenticeships and the schemes from a friend that was also doing that course. And so the way that a BTEC works is it's the same qualification or same UCAS equivalent as A levels, but it's all coursework based, which is much more suited to my sort of method of learning and assessment. There's practical elements in it, such as presentations and projects as well. So it's for a kinesthetic learner like me, it's much more engaging.
No, and that's a great piece of knowledge to share with the students, because I think not many people realize that you can still go to university, you can still study a degree. Yes, it's a degree apprenticeship, but you're still going to get that piece of paper with a degree written on it. And it's just rather than having to go through the A level route, where, as you say, not everybody is going to be as great with the essay writing, with the taking exams. So the fact that you can go down this other route that's available to you and still get the same outcome, and if anything, you've probably ended up doing better in terms of the results that you would have got doing A levels compared to
certainly,
going to college is great. I think it's going to be really reassuring for anybody listening. And then more focusing on the course right now, how has that helped you as a person, and also growing your skills? How have they sort of developed throughout doing this course?
I say quite a lot, to be honest, in a certain and definitely an array of areas. One of the things that's really big as part of the course, and that's inclusive of the university modules, but also the sort of apprenticeship practical element, is the art and practice of reflection. And this is something we do across the 3 years. And I completed a reflective assignment towards the back end of this first year, where I had to look at sort of how I've developed as a professional, but then also as a person, and sort of how I've learned these behaviours from this sort of experience and taken it into my personal life. I think in that first year, when I was working as a team leader, I was working on the AM shift, which meant me getting up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to get to work on time in a production environment. And that taught me so much about discipline and punctuality, because in that environment you can't be late, because it's going to have to be done before you leave. You can't get there late. Someone will start it off for you, and then you clock off at the same time. You got to stay there until it's done, because that stuff's going out that door that day. So I think I was able to sort of bring that into my personal life. I worked a lot on my discipline. I was probably notorious for the one bit that was often a bit late. So it's something I've worked on, not in just a professional sense, but like I stressed, in a personal way as well.
I think that's great, that you've been able to go on that journey and to develop these kind of skills, and such valuable skills that are going to be, used for the rest of your life. And do you feel more ready for the world of work from doing this compared to if you did like perhaps a slightly more conventional A level to degree route?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had quite a lot of work experience prior to this. I've always tried to sort of get out there and learn stuff, and sort of face elements that I'm not as great at. I know that I worked for my mum's company for a small period in sales, because I was terrified of answering the phone, and sort of getting used to answering the phone and calling out to people. It is so valuable. And then the sort of step up it's been from this to going into such a fast-moving, fast-paced environment. You sort of don't have chance to be sort of worried or scared about it. you can't, and it was good for me to sort of step into it, and sort of take on all these skills so quickly. I mean, when I first heard what I was going to be doing, running a production line, that, this is product that's going out across the country, it was quite overwhelming for me. But the amount of sort of leadership skills, managing people, exposure I gained from it, communication, and they're all so transferable into the different departments I've been to since then. And you gain such a wide view of the business. And I think one of the things that I've sort of become more since then is empathetic, because when you're in that first department, that you sort of get tunnel vision on what you're trying to achieve, and sometimes procedures and policies come into place that don't necessarily benefit you. So I think since I've been into these other departments within the business, I've gained a bit more empathy for what they're trying to achieve and how that relates to production. So yeah, I think that the fact that I'm able to gain such a wide exposure has been brilliant for me, and so transferable going forward.
No, fantastic. I mean, it certainly sounds great. I mean, I'm almost quite jealous that I didn't have, there wasn't the kind of that knowledge about apprenticeships at the time. It was just very much, you either be an electrician or a carpenter, or, those kind of sort of careers and vocations sort of thing. It's like, well, I don't really want to do that. So I very much felt like I had to go down the A-level route. But it just shows that, there's so much more out there, and students shouldn't be afraid to kind of, even to look down this route. I can understand it's not for everyone, and everybody has to look at their own individual journey and realize what it is that they want. But it's certainly like a more than, incredible option out there. So I think, you being able to talk to us today I think it's going to be really valuable. So thank you. And then just kind of, what is the one thing that you would like to share with students who are perhaps thinking about applying to your course, or, looking at, considering going into apprenticeship? Have you got like a piece of advice, or, word of warning or anything?
Yeah, I think don't get disheartened would be my one. They are quite a new scheme, but they can be quite competitive. I know a friend that had he applied for a lot of apprenticeships, and some of them didn't get back to him. I myself, I went on quite a few different journeys and different assessments and periods, and it's all just a learning experience. I think like the first assessment day that I made, so I sort of got back and got home at the end of the day and had my head in my hands, thinking, I know that's not gone to the best of my ability, but it was just good practice to eventually get this role that I'm in. So absolutely don't get disheartened, and just keep applying, keep looking towards it and getting in touch. And also, I think sort of asking questions as to whether a certain business will provide it for you, because often the reason that these schemes can be so competitive is because the businesses aren't offering them because they don't know about them. I know that when I first applied for mine, my mum, who was my current employer at the time, was sort of asked if she'd like to do it, and she's taken on an apprentice since then, not a degree apprentice. But so ask questions. If there's a business that you're interested in attending or working for, ask and see if they can facilitate it for you, because it's in their interest as well as it is yours.
No, I think that's a great piece of advice. Thank you. I didn't realize that was the case, that kind of it's so easy to set up. So yeah, I think, what a piece of advice. Thank you. And then the last question from me, it's quite a contentious question, but it's kind of, I realize that you're coming to the end of, the degree apprenticeship. What's next for you in this journey? Have you got an idea of a specific role or career industry that you want to get involved into? Is it staying within food and drink?
It's definitely staying here, especially with Samworth Brothers. Sort of what they've been able to put on for me. I definitely would like to stay and sort of reinvest that back into them. I think the beauty of the course that I'm on is I'm still getting to see these new departments and move across the business. So I think when it comes towards the end of the 3 years, I'll have a bit better of an idea. But for me, I'm still looking forward to seeing what else I can sort of gain exposure and experience in before I make that decision, I think.
No, I think that's completely fair. But it's, again, testament to how great the setup is, the fact that you can experience all these different possible roles and parts of the of the business, so that you can get like, actually, I really enjoyed that, I really enjoyed that, not so much these kind of things. So then it can kind of help, you know, narrow down the choices for when it does come available, and you're looking at the different job roles that are available to you. So no, I think it's very sensible, and like, yeah, it seems like that, you know, a great option to have as well. So with that in mind, you know, I just want to wish you the best of luck with the rest of the degree apprenticeship, and, you know, with the work with Samworth Brothers. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I really do appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
No, my pleasure. And thank you to you guys for watching and listening. Hopefully you found it really, really useful to hear about Harry's journey and kind of degree apprenticeships as a route, and specifically in the food and drink industry. If it is something that you're interested in, please do your research and see what's out there and see whether it applies to you. Also head to the Pathways website, where you can find out more from us and about university and also further education as different routes. And also, you know, please do check out the rest of the Interview With series, see what other jobs and courses that we've got as part of this series. But as of right now, thanks so much for listening, and we shall see you soon. Bye-bye.